Good morning, everyone. I wanted to do a quick video and demonstrate how to take a template for buyer agency documents in Docusign, make minor changes to it, just demonstrate some of the functionality for you of Docusign, and then also take you through the process of signing both as a buyer agent and as the client. Please note that when you get forms from the Market Center in your Docusign library, you are not going to need to make many changes. By the time you see this video, we will have sat down with Ryan Hilburn, our assistant MCA, as well as Latanya Keith, our Market Center broker, and they will have gone through these templates the way that I'm going to take you through today, and they will populate it with Market Center preferred language. Okay, so it's going to be much easier for you to go through the Docusign library and just pull the Market Center forms. You're going to have to do very little changing. In most cases, you're just going to assign the roles and press send. And then you as the listing or buying agent can very quickly make minor changes through email when you go ahead and review and sign the documents. But for the purposes of demonstrating functionality in Docusign, we're going to take you through a bit of an extended process to show you how we took templates, made changes to them, and went ahead and tweaked them to make them work better for us. So this will hopefully give you a little bit of a Docusign education as well. Enjoy the movie. If you want to zip forward to the portion where we go to send the document so that you can see what it looks like to have the agent and clients sign the document, head forward over to about 20 minutes in. Thanks. All right, everybody. Danielle and Mariah here. We are going to shoot a quick video, and it is obviously it's Sunday afternoon, so I hope y'all forgive me if my dog barks or if I stop to make coffee. So here we go. Mariah has been chugging along all weekend, so thank you to her. We're going to show you a little bit about what the process is to start your opportunities in Command, start a room in Docusign from that opportunity, and then how to pull in the different elements that you're going to have access to in just the next couple of days. So here we go. We're going to do everything today under Sally Seller. So whether she is selling her home or buying her home, it's all going to be under Sally Seller, her husband, Mr. Seller, and then listing agent Danielle Hayden. Okay, so you want to go into your client. You want to start an opportunity. We have already started a buyer and seller opportunity here. Mariah, for the purpose of today, we're going into the buyer.
Yes, correct.
Okay. All right, so here we go into the opportunity for Sally Seller and Mr. Seller. It is their buyer opportunity or their purchase. Once you're in here and you've got your details that you've entered for the transaction, you're going to head over to Documents. Up in this corner right here, you're going to see Go to Transaction. The first time you see this button, it's going to say Start Transaction. But because we've already started it, we're going to go to Transaction, and it's actually going to bring us over to Docusign. It's going to ask me to sign in. Some people at this point do get an error message that they have to click through to be taken to the right page. We do not get that error message, but you may see that pop up. We've heard of that before. So once you get into your Docusign for this individual and transaction, you're going to want to go straight to details and make sure that everything you need is synced up here. Now, this is the buyer portion of Sally Seller's transaction, okay? Their purchase loop or room. So we're going to notice that there's nothing up there on the list side because we're just doing buyer agency documents right here. It actually did bring in the phone number and the email for Sally Seller. It did not bring in, it did bring in Mr. Seller as well. So just for the purposes of this demonstration, I'm going to show you how to edit, and I'm actually going to replace this fake email with one of my own emails so that we can show you what the signing process looks like from the consumer perspective.
And is Mr. Seller the correct email down there too? You just always want to make sure we double check your emails. They're all spelled correctly. We have an error somewhere in the record book, so.
Yep, and so we've got listing agent or buyer agent 1 right now would be Danielle Hayden. We've toyed with the idea of putting buyer agent 2 in as LaTanya Keith for the broker signature portions, but we've decided not to do that. And the reason why is because until all parties have executed the agreement, no one will receive a copy. And we all know that we love our broker, LaTanya, and it's not really reasonable for us all to wait until she has a moment to sign the contracts before we get a completed version. So she's going to be added in after the fact.
And with that, Ryan and Clint are aware of this little hiccup here, and compliance is aware. So they know if there's something that is waiting for a broker signature, that's not going to hold up during the transaction period when documents are going back and forth. When the transaction is closing out and you want to get your check, you're going to want to make sure you have all of those documents that do require LaTanya's signature on them done by then. But currently in this part where you're just checking in and making sure compliance is looking at stuff, they are aware, and they're not going to dock you on this if you don't have LaTanya's signature on your buyer agency documents at this point in time.
All right, so here's what we're going to look at right now. We went ahead and saved the changes that we did make. Over here, you can put all kinds of information regarding the transaction and the property. For today, we're not actually going to do that, correct, Mariah? We're just going to go straight in and see what it looks like at the bare minimum.
Correct, yep.
Okay? All right, so here we go. We've got documents, we've got people,
yep,
and we've got envelopes, okay? We're going to go straight into envelopes, correct? Because we're pulling, okay. Now, when you are using the templates that the Market Center provides you, it's my understanding that you're actually going to go in and pull them from here. So just so y'all know, don't worry about people. People will get added as you populate your forms. If you add them here, you risk a chance of creating 2 different roles for the same person. So don't even enter your people there. In the future, if you are choosing to add from the library of forms that the Market Center is going to provide, you're going to go into Docusign forms. It's going to take a minute. It's going to pop up a little menu for you, and you're going to have multiple different libraries to choose from, as well as different groups. For example, buyer agency docs as a group, listing docs as a group. For today, because we don't currently have these libraries set up, we're showing you the templates that we made that the Market Center is going to have access to. So we're going to go to envelopes, okay? And we're going to create a new envelope, okay? Now, one thing that I suggest y'all do is I suggest you go ahead and get Google Drive going and get yourself a Google Doc and just save yourself some of the custom information that you're going to want to enter every time. Down here, you're going to see that I have got some information that I simply copy and paste.
So right now we're doing the buyer agency documents, and we're going to show, those are our personal ones. This is the buyer agency documents for the MC, so you can pick which one you want to use today. They're very similar. The ones for our team have Danielle's name, things like her license number already pre-populated, which everybody's going to have different information. So you will see that it pulled in 4 different documents here. So we created this template so it's the whole thing, and we've also will be breaking each one out individually, so if you wanted to bring them in one at a time, you could. We found it's the best thing for us just to have to pull one folder in, and it brings in all of these documents, and they're all ready to go at one time. It will be what's your personal preference.
And it's my understanding that what's going to happen is the Market Center is going to upload all of these into the document libraries. And then you can go in on the back end, not in rooms, but in e-signature, okay? You can either be in Docusign under rooms or e-signature, and we'll show you how to toggle back and forth in a few minutes here. But it's my understanding that you can go into the back part to e-signature, click on templates, create a new template, and actually pull it from the documents that we're showing you today. And in those templates, you can start to then pre-populate your name, for example.
Correct. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so envelope name, let's just say buyer agency documents for Sally and Mr. Seller. Okay, great. here are our documents. They're all ready to go because we brought them in not one at a time, but as a packet of information. Okay, and then I actually don't have an email subject and email message for buyers typed up yet. I have my listing one, so I'm just going to pull this in here so you can kind of get an idea of what it might look like if you actually had a nice message written out to explain all the different documents. For example, when you're sending out a listing package, oftentimes people want clarity on the seller's disclosures and the warranty, but ignore that this is for a listing, okay?
We're just filling it out, putting it.
Buyer agency, okay. All right, and then we want to add recipients. So we're going to go with pre-tagged roles. The purpose of the template is that they already have roles assigned to these templates. If you start adding in people and roles outside of what's already there, you're going to just kind of convolute things. So you should see 3 roles here: buyer agent, buyer 1, buyer 2. So we're going to go ahead and say buyer agent is Danielle Hayden, buyer 1 is Sally Seller, and buyer 2 is Mr. Seller. Please note that the way that Docusign works, you can only really assign mandatory fields to one specific person. You can allow for collaboration. We will show you some of that right now, but you're going to want to make sure that you know who is driving the process of filling out the paperwork between the 2 of them, because there will come a moment where you sort of have to decide which person is going to be responsible for filling out the information. And I like to make them buyer 1 and seller 1 so that I can make sure to keep it all straight.
Correct.
So we're going to go ahead and add selected, okay? And you're going to see them populate one at a time over here. You're going to want to set your signing order. So all of these parties do need to sign. However, they don't all need to sign at the first round, okay? So you're going to want to go ahead and make sure Mr. Seller and Sally Seller are signing their buyer agency documents in round 2. It's going to go first to the buying agent, second to Mr. and Sally Seller, all at the same time. And then third, it's actually going to go to, for my buyer agency documents, it's going to go to Mariah LeRolland-Wagner at kw.com. And I actually think, did I just do this the wrong way? I should.
It's close enough.
Mariah. Okay. For our listing paperwork, or for like our purchase agreements, we have it so that the minute people bottom line something, it goes straight to the transaction coordinator. So if you use State Street, Maddie Mana gets an immediate notification when we reach a bottom line agreement. Okay.
The only other thing is I don't need a sign. We need to change that so it says CC.
Oh, yep. Sorry. You're right. Cool. Thank you. Okay. So she receives a copy. There we go.
Yep.
All right.
So after round 1 has happened, Danielle has signed. It goes to round 2, which are Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, Seller. And then after they have both signed, then it shoots a copy to me so that I have a copy and can make sure that everything's correct. Oftentimes that means in this instance that I am sending over some kind of document to someone else, whether it's a co-op agent or to one of our transaction coordinators, but that allows me to know that everyone has signed the documents and that they're all set for me to review. Occasionally when you're doing something, especially when it comes to a listing documents, it also allows me to know what information then needs to be entered into the MLS. So I have all of those documents ready to go and they've been confirmed by both sellers.
And I think it's a pretty good policy. Don't have your people sign anything that they're not willing to take action on. If you have, let's say, a counter offer, or if you've got an agreement to extend an inspection contingency, don't send it to your people to sign it until they're ready to take action on it. Because if you start to use this system and people start to get CC'd, you don't want to jump the gun by sending over a notice of objection before you're actually ready. So I just wait, and then you can, and in fact, in all reality, you could potentially CC the co-op agent at the very end. And that way you can go on vacation to the Bahamas, and the minute they sign off, the co-op agent gets a copy.
Yep, that is true. All right. So there is not a ton of information in these buyer agency documents. These are pretty straightforward. We'll go through these pretty quickly, but there's not much that you're going to need to change in any way, shape, or form for these sets of documents. They're pretty generic.
Okay, so just to review, folks, this is sort of the painter's canvas. These are the materials you can use to start to make changes, and this is who the person would be a change for. You can go in here and say, I want to paint with Sally Seller. I want to paint with Mr. Seller, okay? Now, what happens if you paint as Danielle Hayden and then you want to change it to Sally Seller? You just go over here. This changes the canvas, okay? Likewise, you can just delete it. All right, so right now, you can see that we've got buyer's agent, designated agent, already checkmarked, okay? If you click on it, these are, they don't show up, check boxes don't show up as required fields, but we already checked it ourselves. They are assigned to the listing agent, so by the time they get through round 1, which is the listing agent, and get sent to the client, they're no longer something that can be changed, okay? See, that's how that works with the signing order. Okay, so here we go. So sign and date. This is going to happen when it gets sent out to Danielle Hayden, listing agent, or sorry, buyer's agent. Here we go, Sally Seller and Mr. Seller, and it's going to automatically show date signed. These are required fields. Okay. Exclusive buyer agency contract. This one right here, we're actually going to go ahead and put LaTanya, Keith, Keller, Williams, Ann Arbor. Client full name, both of them, client address, okay? So this is something that either the listing agent, the admin, or the seller, well, really the admin or the seller could fill out. I personally prefer for this to get filled out either by the admin or the listing agent and make it a required field, okay? So this will come to you this way. Purchase residential property in Michigan, we're gonna actually say real estate, just to make it as generic as possible. And this, because this is already filled in, we're gonna not make it a required field anymore, and that way it won't stop us when we need to fill something in. Okay, term and cancellation. Date signed is when it started. Agreement will expire on, we can enter a date here. And is this validated? Yes, awesome. We'll show you what that looks like later. Okay.
This one, I'm sorry, Mariah, we should have reviewed these beforehand. It's generic, just based on what most people will have. These are generic buyer agency documents.
So y'all can go in here and change these later.
Commission to be paid per MLS advertisement is what I typically have in mind.
Okay. This one, 180 days is our standard. We're going to take out required, take out required. That way it doesn't really stop us throughout the signing process as the listing agent. Yeah.
And so for you at the Market Center, you guys can change and write in those fields, whatever your standard languages that you use. And this is where Danielle was referring to, like the Google documents. You're just going to have your generic, and you can set your templates to say whatever it is.
Mm-hmm. And so notice we did not assign a signature to broker. This is what we were talking to you about earlier. That's okay. You don't really want to involve LaTanya in the signing process until you have everything else bottom lined anyways. That can be added later. And then telephone, we do have these assigned to the two buyer clients. It is a required field. That way they can kind of fill it out for you. You don't have to worry about it so much. I'm going to go ahead and add full name here for the agent because when the form got drafted, they forgot to leave that off. So you can see here that it's just a simple sign. It's going to auto-populate full name and date signed for each party.
And you just go to the top so they know which form this one is that they're using.
Phishing scam alert.
Yep.
And then, yes, there is a different phishing scam alert for buyer and sellers, guys. The way that Docusign works, you can't just say client, okay? Everyone is either buyer 1, seller 1, buyer 2, seller 2. So we had to make a phishing scam that had signature spaces for buyer 1 and a phishing scam template that had signatures for seller 1. Okay, so here we go. We've got agent's full name here, client's full names, great. I'm actually gonna move this a little bit. Sometimes when it populates in the end, it ends up covering some text. So we'll just kind of give it a little more room there. Yep, we're good to go. That's super easy. This is it. Are we ready? Send. So remember, it's going to send to buyer agent first, and then to the two clients automatically thereafter. And once the two clients sign, it will send to the admin that we added at the end, as well as every party that signed.
And for those of you who use Docusign, there are two options. You can either go into your email and click through to sign as the buyer or listing agent, or you can sign on the back side in the e-signature side that Danielle was talking about. For this purposes, we're just showing you from an email because it also will show you then the letter that's getting sent out to everyone.
Yeah, and if you missed it, whoops.
It's okay.
If you missed it, here's the letter. And then up here too, just so you know, you've got another copy of it here. Okay, so if they need to reference anything about the instructions, they can do so right there. All right, so we're gonna hit start. This is the listing agent. Because we didn't make these fields required, we just go through and sign, okay? This is required. So the nice thing is, if your admin misses it, you are gonna be prompted to go ahead and sign.
The other option is if you don't have this information, you can make it required like we showed in the template to Mr. Seller or Mrs. Seller, and they can fill it out when they fill out the form.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And just a note right now in these forms, even though they're not showing up yellow for Danielle to do anything, if Danielle wanted to, she could go into any of these spots that are open and she could change them.
Oh, yes. So for example, this is an optional field. So we didn't want to stop there if we didn't have to. If it had said residential and I was doing something that was a mixed use property, I could go in and change it right there to real estate.
And this allows for your admin to do these forms, send them over, but it also allows you as the agent to have a second set of eyes to look at these and correct anything along the way.
Correct. Okay, so then we've got negotiable commission above, and then commission to be paid per MLS advertisement, which is how most of us get paid. So 180 days after expiration, 3% of the final purchase price on a FSBO. We are good to go. Oh, look, I happen to charge $200 transaction fee to the buyer at closing. Okay. All right, and now I get to sign. Okay, phishing scam alert, I get to sign. Okay, addendum to buyer broker contract, I get to sign.
Oh, you're all finished. Hold on, before you hit finish. Oh, you went
sorry.
It's okay, I was gonna show the other action. But okay, so now it says a copy is now sent to the next people. So the next people will get this now that she is finished.
Okay, so we're gonna go in as Sally. Welcome to the family. Please review and execute your buyer agency paperwork.
And you can see it's been 0 minutes. That's because it just got sent to this email before anyone else, after Danielle signed.
All right, so this is a lot of legalese. I'm calling my agent right now. What am I signing? I don't know.
And so go up for 1 second though. Oh, you'll see in here is fine too. So a couple examples. One, this red one, the client address, it highlights in red because that means the listing agent or buyer agent made a change after the admin sent it out. So it'll highlight as red. Nothing needs to be done. She can't, I don't think you can edit that at all. Do you have that as collaborated? Yeah, so we have the checkbacks for collaboration in case that's not the right address, the sellers could do it. But in this box, number 1, they are not collaborators, Sally and Mr. Seller, so they cannot make any changes to those.
You want me to show something else here?
Yeah, just showing that they can, if they needed to, do something in there, but they don't have the ability to edit these forms, so there is not an option in here for them to change the form. All right, so Sally Seller has signed. Now we will go see where Mr. Seller is.
Another recipient has made changes to shared fields on this document. They're highlighted for your notification and review. That comes in really, really handy with listing docs. Like if someone makes a change to the appliances, for example. Okay, so now we see where that change has been. Okay, everything looks good. Initial, 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 initial. All right, now what we need to show you is that we, in our email, just got notifications that Sally Seller viewed and Mr. Seller viewed. It doesn't tell us that they've signed, but then lo and behold, Yahtzee completed. Welcome to the family. Please review and execute your buyer agency paperwork. View completed documents. Also, for your convenience, completed documents have now been individually added to the bottom of this email. Okay, this is yet another benefit of having the ability to build a packet, but ultimately build that packet off of individual documents, because here we could decide that we're going to send one thing over to one party and withhold others, right? Okay, great. What else do you want to show them, Mariah?
The other thing is, if you go back into your Docusign room, not that part, but the envelope, the very last one, and you go back to document tab here, you will see now that this folder shows that there are all 4 documents that are signed. They have the green little check mark, and there's this PDF. So this is verification that it was signed, and this is, if there was ever a legal issue, you can say it was signed at this time, this was the information in the ID that was entered, and they completed this. So this is just good backup for us that this happened. So this is our buyer agency document. So all set there. We're good. We're gonna go ahead and do a second video now for a buyer offer document so you can see what those look like.
Okay, and just so y'all know, the way that you toggle between rooms and e-signature is right here. So you click on your own little avatar and you switch to e-signature. This is going to take you into the back end of your account, the one that you have as an agent or as the business that subscribes to Docusign. And the reason why I want to show you this is primarily because of your template area. So here's templates. Okay, and this is where you would start a new template where you could take the generic forms that are sent to you. If you have things you want to put in, like your name as an agent or your way of filling out the commission area, you can do that here. Bring them in. You can either upload a template or create one.
All right, we're gonna go ahead and stop this, and then we will show you what the next set looks like.
If you liked this video and you want information and content just like this, go ahead and click the subscribe button now and toggle the bell for instant notification. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you for the next video.